Today we're going to be annotating some commentary and some statements made by Alex Morgan, who is a player on the U.S. women's national team, who just won the World Cup this past summer. This was published by students at Slippery Rock University, located in Pennsylvania. So, as we read, we want to make sure we use some of the tools that we have learned about analysis. So, compared to the men's team, or just the national team scene alone, the women lack many of the basic luxuries and necessities afforded to a professional sports team. So I'm not really too sure what luxuries mean or what she means by luxuries, so I'm going to bold that, and I can right-click define luxury, and the definition will pop up right there for me, which is great. So the state of great comfort. So I guess these are things that make life on the road easier and more comfortable. So she's saying that women lack many of the basic luxuries and necessities afforded to a professional sports team. So that's an interesting comment. So I think what I'm going to write is, let's see, wow, they are the best national team in the world and still lack funding and other basics that other pro sports teams have. That's pretty shocking. Besides compensation, because that's a big piece, it's the hotels and the medical staff, Morgan said. Well, I'm not really too sure what she means by compensation, but because I do follow the national team and I know that there's a big issue with unequal salary between the men's national team and the women's national team, I'm going to highlight this and we'll come back to it later. So I'm going to leave a note, maybe a question. Let's see. Maybe a question I could leave. Does she mean unequal salary? Comment. Great. It's the hotels and the medical staff. Okay. If we were with our team 150 days out of the year traveling around the world, why don't we have a full-time athletic trainer or physical therapist? Well, that's interesting. So they're together 150 days out of the year. That's almost half of the year. And they don't have a full-time athletic trainer or physical therapist. And they're World Cup winners. That is absolutely shocking. So I'm going to say, I think this is an important point. Team is missing out on full-time trainers and therapists. So I'm going to comment because I think that is important and highlight that. So why does the men's team have 30 people on their staff list and we only have 16? So they have half the amount of staff. Wow. When it comes public that the coach of the men's team was making $3 million a year and got fired, and they had to buy out his contract, and our women's coach is making $250,000, how are we getting the best coaches with that compensation? Wow, that's a pretty loaded sentence, so I think we should break that down. So the men's national team coach was making $3 million a year and got fired, and they had to buy out his contract, and the women's team is making $250,000. That's way less. And this is a national team coach who wins a World Cup. So I guess I'm going to highlight this last sentence. How are we getting the best coaches with that compensation? So maybe I should ask, I'm going to leave a comment. Why is the U.S. women's national team so underfunded despite being the best team in the world? Great. So how are we getting the best treatment? We never had a system laid out. We just had a general manager named for the first time this year. Wow. So I think I'm going to add another question. So I'm just going to highlight this little piece so I could leave a question. So what determines a national team player's salary? My prior experience, I know about sponsorships like Cristiano Ronaldo is sponsored by Nike and Alex Morgan is sponsored by Chapstick. So is it sponsorships? Who pays the national team players? So I'm going to leave the comment. So